Alright, we're starting here with the undefined terms of geometry. Really, these definitions are self-explanatory, so you could just pause the video and read these. I'm going to explain a little bit, but it's pretty straightforward. So when you're looking at a point, point's represented by a dot, and then if you put a letter, this is point P. So it's pretty straightforward. Nothing else to say about that. Here you have a line. A line is continuous on both ends. So you'll see, I can't move that. Okay, so this L here, this one here, that's the name of it. You can also name it by using these 2 points that are on it. So yeah, you could say that's line AB, or you can call it line BA. So in order to have a line, you have 2 points. Let's do any 2 points. And then you have a line that goes through. Both sides of the lines are continuous. The plane. The plane is 2 dimensions. It's represented by a shape that looks like a floor or a wall, but it extends without end. So these lines here on the outside of the plane, those are just so you can reference it. The borders are not real. It continues every direction. Important thing to note here, when you're naming a plane, you have to, to name a plane, you put the word plane and you pick any 3 points that are not in a straight line. So you can do A, B, C. M is not a point. A, B, and C are points. So here's the thing that gets tricky with that. Let's say you have another point here, point D. So you could say plane DCA. You can do any combination of these points as long as they're not in a straight line. So something that would be incorrect would be plane BDC. You cannot do that. The 3 points you pick for these cannot be collinear. That's down here. So collinear means lying on the same line. So when you're naming a plane, the 3 points cannot be collinear. I'll write that on here so you have it. Not collinear. I probably should type that, but I'm not going to. Okay. So those are your undefined terms. Really, you can just look at this and get all of it. Segments and rays are the other things we look at. So segments and rays look like parts of lines. That's because they are parts of lines. So with a segment, you have 2 points. So let's say that's T and U. And then you connect those points, but it has endpoints. So this is not continuous. You can measure this. It's going to be some number here. With a ray has a starting point and an ending point. It has a starting point and it's continuous the other direction. So let's say, for instance, you want to do this ray. Let's do ray Vx. And then you have this here. This is how you label it. What this tells you is that V is the starting point and X is the point it goes through. One way you can think about this is you have these 2 points here. These 2 points are V and X. So here's the arrow at the top. So you're standing here at V. You have a little ray gun. So you start at V, right? You start at V, you shoot your ray gun this direction towards X. So the ray gun shoots towards X, goes through X, and it continues on forever. So that's the notation here. So if you had it this way, xv, like that, that would be the opposite of what we have here. I'm just going to cross it out just so it's not confusing if you look at this later. I probably could erase that, but similar concept here. You have CA and CB are these rays. So what this says here, it says CA like that, and it says CB like that. So you see in this situation, C is the one that has the ray gun. So this is C, it goes to A, and it goes to B. So Mr. C here has his 2 ray guns. He shoots them opposite directions. Goes through B, continues, goes through A, continues. Last thing to talk about is congruent. Congruent means having the same size and the same shape. Pretty straightforward, right? Just one thing to note here. If you have this line on a segment and this line on a segment, that means these are congruent. So this one is 10, this one would also be 10. This one I did with the double mark would not be congruent to this. But if this is, let's say that's 20, 20, 20, and then you have this other line over here that has 2 notches on it like that, this one would also be 20.